Hi, and welcome back to Catholic Moment. In the last couple of episodes of Catholic Moment, I shared with you some ideas for how to keep your soul in a state of preparedness for the day when this pandemic is over and we can return to receiving the sacraments on a regular basis. And during this time of Catholic quarantine, I've shared with you that our task as the Catholic faithful is to deepen and develop our prayer life. And an integral part of deepening our prayer life is silence and having that need for silence in our daily routines. Now I can hear you laughing. In a quarantine-filled Catholic home, how is it possible to find silence? Well, yeah, I think it probably is pretty challenging to find that silence in our quarantine-filled Catholic homes at this time. But silence truly is an integral, important part of our prayer lives. That's why Cardinal Sarah, in his book, The Power of Silence, says to us, if we don't have silence, how can we ever find God? Think about that for a moment. If we don't have silence, how can we ever find God? Now, I think Bishop Fulton Sheen illustrated this idea perfectly when he said something along the lines of, our soul is like a box of salt that's been filled with pepper. And since that salt box has been filled with pepper, how can we ever imagine to get any salt in it? In much the same way, our minds and hearts and our souls these days are filled with the noises and distractions of the world. And because they're filled with these noises of the world, how is God ever going to enter? If we don't have silence, how can we ever find God? Is it challenging to find silence in our daily routines in a quarantine-filled Catholic home? Sure it is. But it's not impossible if we're both intentional and invitational. And what I mean by this is if we're intentional about our need and desire for silence, we'll be able to garner the respect and understanding of those who are also living in confinement with us under the same roof. Now, how do we go about getting that respect and understanding for our need for silence? Well, the first thing we need to do is communicate that need with them. How can anyone ever respect and understand something that they haven't even been told about? And so once we've communicated this need and desire for silence in our daily routines, the next thing we need to do is start getting our own lives in order and put away the distractions of the world so that we can have that silence ourselves. I mean, who's going to respect someone who's asked for silence, but they're constantly checking their work email or looking for the newest post on social media? So put your phones away and close your laptops. So our distractions put to one side. The next thing we need to do to have that respect and understanding for silence in our lives is to develop a prayerful, silent routine. And I always like to say, same prayer time, same prayer station. So in other words, have a set time each and every day to have your silent, prayerful reflection. In our home, everyone knows that for myself, my time for silent reflection is first thing in the morning when I do my Lectio Divina with my cup of coffee. Ever since he was able to crawl out of bed and come downstairs on his own, my son has known that first thing in the morning is Daddy's quiet time with God. Now, having that same prayer routine time, you also should have a prayer place for silence in your home. And it can be something just as simple as a little corner or nook in your home where you've set up maybe a small statue or a few prayer cards and a candle to help center your silence on God and to help lift your mind and your heart to prayerful things. So gotten rid of our distractions and having that same prayer routine of time and place, the next thing we need to do to get that respect and understanding of others in our home for this need for silence is to be invitational. Invite others to join us in that silent prayer. Now, don't be offended when others in the home at first probably balk at your invitation, especially those teenagers in your life. But continue to invite them without being forceful. Because I think you'd be surprised that eventually even the teenagers will come to the realization that they need to unplug from the world and find God through silence in their lives. Is it challenging to find prayerful silence in a quarantine-filled Catholic home? Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie. But is it possible to find that silence? Yes, it is, if you're both intentional and invitational. Now, as we head into the month of May, the month of Mary, our Mother, the next few episodes of Catholic Moment will be given over to meditating on our Mother's wisdom and contemplating what Mary has to tell us in the Gospels. I'm Robert Leblanc, and this has been a Catholic Moment.